Improving the lives of women and girls in rural areas on a global scale is a top priority. They often face unpaid work, stalled economic growth, limited access to education, discrimination, and other obstacles that prevent them from achieving their full potential. So the question is, will rural women ever have equal access to education, work, and safety? Two key terms help frame this issue. First, gender-based violence, which the UN defines as any harmful act directed at a person because of their gender, and the gender gap, which refers to the inequality between women and men across all spheres of life. For example, women who do take part in paid work are often paid less and discriminated against because of their gender, furthering the cycle of inequality. To better understand this issue, consider this statistic. In 2024, nearly a quarter of governments reported backlash against women's rights, and every 10 minutes, a woman or girl is killed by her partner or a family member. Global water shortages also affect women and girls by limiting their education, health, and economic opportunities. It was reported that in 2024, nearly half of the world population lacked access to hygienic sanitation, and 2.2 billion people did not have safe drinking water. The lack of sanitation is one reason many girls drop out of school, making them more vulnerable to unpaid work and other barriers. In Tanzania, for example, women spend 3.7 times more hours on unpaid work compared to men, which severely limits their participation in paid employment. The United Nations has already taken 4 actions to support rural women. First, in 1979, the UN General Assembly adopted the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. Second, in 1995, the UN introduced a blueprint to realize gender equality and the human rights of women and girls everywhere. Third, in 2010, the World Health Organization created a framework to encourage healthcare professionals to live and work in rural areas. Fourth, between 2008 and 2012, data showed improvement in primary school enrollment for girls, as well as an advancement in maternal health. More recently, the Joint Program on Accelerating Progress Towards the Economic Empowerment of Rural Women has supported women who depend on marine ecosystems by improving the production of seaweed and sardines. Despite the progress that has been made, 5 further actions must take place. First, women and girls need greater access to credit and financial services, which would provide them with stability and independence. Second, harmful social norms and the burden of unpaid work must be equally shared between partners, allowing women to pursue education, training, and paid employment. Third, stronger legal protections are needed to end violence and harassment against women. Fourth, digital technology must be expanded safely and effectively to empower women before the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals deadline. Finally, the inclusion of rural women in climate action and peace-building efforts is essential to building resilient communities. These challenges can only be addressed through the collective efforts of the UN and the global community. Only then can women and girls in rural areas achieve true equality and opportunity.